Hey guys, since the channel just went over 10,000 subscribers last week, I decided that for this video I would talk about how and why I started making miniatures and build this diorama in the background. First of all, thank you for the support and for subscribing. It's been awesome to see this channel grow, and I'm excited to see where it all goes in the future. So for about 12 years now, I've been into video production, either as a hobby or my full-time job, and photography was something I've always enjoyed along with that. For years, I've explored a couple of abandoned mental asylums where I grew up in New York and took so many photographs. Eventually, my friends and I made a short documentary film about one of them, and it was one of the coolest things that I've ever done. I loved getting to know the history of these places, and capturing them in their now decaying state seemed like such an awesome way to tell their story. The way that time and nature decays them is also beautiful in its own way. So years later now, I had the urge to recreate these places, particularly without all of the graffiti that usually just takes away from the history and the ability to experience the buildings as they truly were. And I had the thought of making a small diorama. This idea was also driven by my love for photography and lighting, and I thought that if I could make a miniature of a place, then I could use my lighting techniques to really make a photograph that captures the essence and emotions that I've had standing in these buildings so many times. And now through this channel, it's been so awesome to see so many of you enjoy the finished pieces and the process as well. When I think about what my style is, or what I'd like it to be, I really like the idea of making these abandoned places in miniature form and to be realistic, but to have something that's a little bit surreal to them. And when I film them to look realistic with my different lighting and camera techniques, I think I want to give the feeling to the viewer that there's something not quite normal about this image and just makes you want to look at it a little bit deeper. So now, in my opinion, I don't accomplish this all the time, that's for sure. But with every project, I really enjoy trying to explore different techniques of diorama making and weathering and aging, and then trying different things of how to photograph them and film them with this main goal in mind. So to be totally honest, really the only thing that I feel like I really know what I'm doing with is filming and photography, because I've been doing that for over a decade. But modeling and diorama making, I've really only been doing for less than 2 years now. I've always been interested in all kinds and forms of art, but even painting for the most part is new to me. And because I started making these dioramas with the clear intent on filming and photographing them, even in the way that I build the base and lay out the structure is with the idea that I'm going to film it, and not as a finished piece that's going to be looked at and observed like an art piece. And I think this is probably the biggest reason that when many of you have asked if I sell my dioramas, that I say that I don't yet. And probably as long as I'm making them with the only intent to film, I probably won't. I do have a lot of ideas, and in the future I may try to make at least some of them to be more finished pieces of art that would be great to be enjoyed on the shelf in someone's home. But for the pieces I've done so far, particularly with how I light them specifically, I think they really shine in the pictures and video that I've taken with them. This is still going to be my focus going forward for the most part, and I think maybe a coffee table photo book in the future might be something that I'd really be interested in creating for all of you to enjoy. And stay tuned, because I definitely want in the near future to make my 3D models that I've created available in some form, and I'm definitely thinking about something like a Patreon for extra content from me for those of you that are interested. So now I'm going to get back into the diorama I'm building. This is a static grass applicator, and it's actually the first time I've used one before. Basically, you can get these different lengths of static grass, and with static electricity, it lays it down into the glue, standing up like real grass. And then I'm just using a vacuum with fabric over it so I can get the grass that wasn't glued down back up. The idea for this scene was basically that it was a hallway with multiple doors and a collapsed ceiling. I really wanted it to look like nature had begun to creep back into this building in unusual ways. So I've added some wires hanging down and light fixtures that fell from the ceiling, and I did add more grass in a couple different layers. That first layer was very minimal. And then I'm going to add some vines creeping in from the ceiling that's been collapsed. For most of the rubble, I took some plaster of Paris and let it harden in the bottom of these disposable plastic bowls, and then broke them up into pieces with a hammer and spread them throughout. And the vines I'm using here are all from Diorama Precipi. They're a company based in Italy, and they make incredible looking foliage and vines. So then after adding a bunch of these outside that back door so that as you look through it, all you see is vegetation outside, I was finished. I hope you like hearing a little bit about me and why I make miniatures. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe so you can see everything that happens in the future on this channel. I really appreciate all the support so far in getting past 10,000 subscribers. I'll see you next time.